So coming back to India, I'll just give you some perspective about India. Like we are a population of 130 billion, and we have a quite high density. And also we have not been able to vaccinate our 100% of our adult population, and also we are quite high in numbers of the diabetes. India has seen the first case of Omicron in 2nd December, and now the number has reached 100 within 15 days. So do you think that the threat perception, giving looking at the vaccination status, is quite high for India?
I don't think so. I think what India needs to do, again, the same question, how are the hospitals with Omicron? Remember, there's still Delta going around in some countries, especially in the European countries. We know that Delta is still there. So you need to understand who is lying in your ICU. Is it Delta? Is it Omicron? Is it a combination? I don't know. So as long as your ICUs are not overrun and your daily rates, infectivity rate, are quite high, and it's not um, um, reflecting in ICU cases, then you might be on the same track as South Africa.
Right now, when we talk about, discuss about Omicron, we all know that it has already spread from one country to 80 countries now. So, do you think that this concept of high risk or low risk countries should be there, or should we consider any foreign country as a high risk country and act accordingly?
All countries are high risk. There's no country that can say they're not high risk. All countries are high risk. It will depend on the immune systems of the country, the previous waves that that country experienced, the vaccine effectiveness of what they are using and how good it protects, and the clinical picture of your doctors.
And if we talk about the symptoms, as you say, that the people needs to understand what are the symptoms. So if you can please elaborate the symptoms for our viewers, that what are the specific symptoms for Omicron? Because nowadays the boundaries are very blurred between high risk, low risk countries. Everything is very mixed and very blurry. But they should know, they should understand the symptoms. If you can tell us about that, Dr.
Very important, very, very important. So it's actually easy. I wake up this morning because that's what they tell us. They go and they say, Doctor, last night when I went to bed, I was fine. So during the night, I could have had a bit of, warm and cold, sweaty. But this morning, doctor, I had a headache. I've got a headache, a terrible headache. My body is sore. And I'm tired. It's as if I want to sleep. So the best of that's how they described it. And I can describe it in medical terms, and half of the people won't know what I'm talking about. But everyone would understand a headache and a sore body and a tiredness. Then they can, it's not to say they will, I can have a scratchy throat. A lot of people think it is a post-nasal drip, but it's actually the irritation of the virus. They can have a dry cough, and the cough is very, it's the same. It's a dry cough. They go like this. It's as if it's sitting here, okay? It's not a cough like you have a flu cough. It's not the same. And that's it. Because they don't have really temperatures. They don't have loss of taste and smell. And they all wait to get more ill because everyone told you this is a very severe disease. So I feel a bit under the weather. So we then advise the patients, wait at least one day. Just wait. If you wake up this morning, isolate, quarantine. Tomorrow morning, go and get tested, because we have seen that in some cases, the rapid test, if you wake up that morning with the symptoms, might be false negative, only the next day positive. And then go and see the doctor, that they make sure that you're okay, and if there's any treatment needed. And the treatment currently is it's around a low dosage of cortisone, as well as ibuprofen and Panado, for those who can tolerate it and might be able to take it. And then rest. And between 5 and 7 days later, you will be fine. That's the symptoms.
So now again another conversation, it's going around, especially in my country, where I belong to, India, is that the demand for a booster dose. So now, do you think there's a high time for India to go with the booster dose, or they should prioritize finishing the vaccinating the entire adult population first and then go for booster dose?
It's a very good question. So what I think is important is that you need to try to get as much dosages in unvaccinated people's arms. That's the first thing. Your priority should be to try to vaccinate as much people as possible. Then you can run simultaneously a booster for those people who has been who is eligible for a booster. But you prioritize your 50 pluses. You prioritize your immune compromised, whether it's children and who has got one kidney, or who's severely ill, and your HIV patients. They are eligible for boosters. After you have done the boosters, and by that time, hopefully, you can open it for the rest of the population who has already been vaccinated.
So far in India, if you talk about the 100 cases we have seen of Omicron positive, we have one child, a 7-year-old boy, who is also have tested positive for Omicron. So now you must have seen pediatric population, for Omicron virus. How severe the diseases are for the pediatric population, and how important vaccination for the pediatric population is?
Again, children, I only know of one 15-year-old that was severely ill and died. Whether that was due to Omicron, whether it was due to Delta, we don't know, because the PCR testing on the labs didn't give us that data. But all in all, the children also do quite well with Omicron.
All right. I'll not hold you for more. I have one last question left. It's a question for many of us, like all of us who are dealing with this pandemic for last 2 years. It's been 2 years, and you have seen more than 600 patients. You have been you are in touch with many of the healthcare professionals. What do you think, and when we as the world population, we can see an end to this pandemic?
That's a difficult question, but if I can give an opinion, I would say I think it's going to become endemic, like flu or a severe cold going forward. If I look at Omicron and I look at the South African experience, not the European experience, please, South African, I would say, the virus got a lot of mutations. And if the mutations make the virus to be fast spreading, but much milder in the communities, it means something is happening. And hopefully, with further mutations, it will mutate to have even less mild infections. And it's also not in the virus' best interest to kill people, because in the end of the day, if he kills everyone, he's also going to die. So fast spreading, I think, I know it sounds terrible, but maybe because we have this high positivity rate and less sick people than we saw with Delta, for now, I would rather take a fast spreading super spreader variant with less virulency. And hopefully then people won't get very sick and they will build up antibodies on this.
Great. On this note, I'll end this interview thanking Dr. Coetzee for giving us your valuable time and also answering our all these queries with a smiling face. Thank you so much, Dr. Coetzee, for that. And also, I would like to thank India's fastest growing doctors community, ClearNet, for connecting us with Dr. Coetzee. Thank you so much. Have a great day ahead.
Thank you.
নমস্কার, জি 24 ঘন্টা দর্শকদের জন্য এই ইন্টারভিউ এখানেই আমরা শেষ করছি। আপনারা দেখতে থাকুন জি 24 ঘন্টা। নমস্কার।
এখন নিউজ দেখুন আপনার সময় মতো, আপনার হাতের মুঠোয়, রাজ্য, দেশ, দুনিয়া। ডাউনলোড করুন জি 24 ঘন্টা অ্যাপ। এক ক্লিকেই পান সব আপডেট।